What up, crew? Great to have you here at the card table. I'm your host, Vineet, aka Card Mechanic, and on this show, we interview magicians, cardists, YouTubers, and more. So, let's do it. Today, we got Kier Gomes at the card table. And let me tell you, this guy is well known in the magic industry, and I've always admired his work ever since I first laid eyes on it. So, I don't want to make you guys wait any longer. Give it up for Kier Gomes.
Hey, Kier, great to have you here at the card table. How are you doing?
Vineet, what is up, man? It's good to be here. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. So first thing I like to do when I bring anyone onto this channel for the first time is I like to have you just introduce yourself, maybe share a little bit about you, your story, how you got to, where you are. So
Yeah.
it's all yours.
Well, thank you. Well, my name's Keir. I use YouTube as a way to connect with people over card tricks and card shuffling. It's my shtick. But I mean, really, I don't know. I'm just, I used to be a magician, loved performing magic, card tricks specifically, kind of fell into this new wave culture of magic, and found that online is a lot easier to get, attention and get seen than it is locally. So that's kind of me. Yeah. I think just somebody who wants to be seen outside of my tiny town. So that's me.
Awesome. So were you always into magic? Did you know from like childhood, like I want to be a magician when I grow up?
No, but yes, it changes. I think I've always wanted to do something with magic my whole life for sure. I got into magic when I was probably like 13, I think, maybe like 12. It started with David Blaine's Street Magic. I'll never forget it. I still watch it to this day. And I spent like all summer with my older brother, Jake, all summer trying to learn card tricks. And, back then it wasn't as easy to like pick up a magic book even, it was a little bit more difficult to have resources,
Yeah.
And this was even before like the, illusionist days. So online magic had no presence. But we would make like little videos on our camcorder of us performing tricks for kids around the neighborhood. And I knew that I wanted to do stuff like that. I wanted to be like David Blaine for sure. But I kind of let go of that. I mean, like as I got older, I got into other stuff, whatever my friends were doing, like skateboarding or, music or art or whatever. So I tried a little bit of everything, and I stuck with magic, but I kept it very close to myself. I didn't really perform tricks for people. I was just kind of, on my own time. And then I don't know, I think I got a little bit reignited. I had like a quarter life crisis is what I call it. I was I had just gotten married. I think I was 20. Actually, it was before I got married. So I guess I don't know, I was probably 22 years old. And I'm at Barnes and Noble. I see that they have like decks of cards on sale, right? I'm like, oh, weird. I love cards. That's weird. And that was kind of like the big thing is I was like, dang, like some of these $10 decks of cards are pretty sick, So you buy a couple, you want to learn more about them. So you go online and then, woof, once, I guess this would have been 5 years ago. Yeah, maybe like 5 years ago. At that point, if you go on the internet and research playing cards, you would have found Chris Ramsey, you would have found,
exactly.
Card Shuffler, Magic Orthodoxy, David, all of these people, which is crazy. These people that like now don't seem like they're so far out of reach for us. You know what I mean? Like they're people
exactly.
that we work with people, or we work with people who know these people. But at the time you're like, whoa, there's like these playing card people in the world, and I know a little bit about playing cards. Maybe I want it. So I think that's what happened. That's when the YouTube channel was born. I was probably 23 or 24 when that happened. And then just kind of like, I didn't want to do deck reviews. I wanted to do magic. And then like, I don't know, just like the way that cards evolve, I guess like my goals evolved with
Changed,
it.
yeah.
And now my goals are completely different,
I can actually relate to that so much. I started card tricks, card magic when I was 12 years old at a lunch table because a friend of mine showed me a card trick, and it blew my mind. I became kind of obsessed with, I need to know exactly how this is done.
Yep.
And again, like you were saying, we didn't really have too many resources to learn from. So he taught me a lot of what I knew back then. And he had like a lot of books on card magic and techniques. So I'm like, okay, this guy's clearly a genius. I need to learn everything I can.
Yeah.
And then that, again, it was similar to you. That passion kind of died down a little bit. It became more of like a thing in the background for me. So once in a while, if someone asks to see a card trick, it's like, okay, I know something, I can show you, but it wasn't like in the forefront as it is now.
Yeah.
And then it was literally the same thing. When around when I turned 22 is when I started my YouTube channel. And from there, I wasn't into deck collecting. I had maybe 5 decks. I had like 3 bicycle decks. I had maybe like 1 or 2. I had a Tally Ho Vipers deck, and then maybe a Tally Ho Circle back. And I had 1 Blue Artifice deck from Illusionist.
Nice.
And that was it. That was my whole deck collection. So if you see my early YouTube videos, the cards are just like they're turning yellow at the edges. Like they just absolutely look horrible. But it wasn't in my mind to get new cards because I wasn't focusing on the cards. Like I didn't really care about decks. I was just a lot more about sharing the magic, and that's really where my passion lied. And yeah, here we are now, like 4 years later, doing this.
We're deck people now. Look at us. Yeah, we're the card guys that we wanted to be. I think it's. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I gotta say, your deck displays in the back look amazing. I got like this one just last year, but
Bro,
I love to see them. They look amazing.
Thank you. Here's the thing. So I have this thing with this thing here where I want to ideally one day very soon consolidate all of my cards that I use anyway.
Yeah.
All of my open decks, because this is all open stuff except for this one here is slow hands. But I want to take these 3 of decks that have been open and just get rid of all except for enough to fill one of these things just so I can have it. And I got like 200 decks in a cardboard box over here, sealed and open or whatever. And I'm going to ship them somewhere. I don't know where. I'm going to donate them somewhere, but I'm trying to like shrink it down to where it never goes past like that. Because I also have, my office is a mess, but I also have like all that stuff is, sealed, unopened decks, like all that stuff. So it's too much. And I want to get rid of a lot of it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to get more displays, but I just didn't know where to actually get them. I got this one from TCC Kickstarter when they were doing that.
How much
but
did you pay for it?
I think it was $50.
It's not bad. That's worth $50 to me. Like these ones, dude, I don't know how I got lucky. My mom got lucky. She found 2 of them at Goodwill.
Oh,
and
wow.
then 2 of them on Amazon. Yeah.
Wow. Because when I started collecting decks, that's the one thing I needed, because all my decks right now are like stuffed in my closet over to the side.
Yeah, mine were like in a shoebox. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my camera here.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, it was. I really wanted to have some kind of display, because even when I started my YouTube channel, it was me sitting here, like the camera looking down at me, and I had nothing, no other decks, just a couple of screens in the back and a bit of lighting, and then it was that's literally all it was. So
do you ever
crazy.
Look back at like? Yeah. Do you look back at your old YouTube videos ever and just be like, wow? I do. I just did that like for therapy yesterday. I was just like, I'm going to go watch my old videos.
Yeah, I do that at every kind of like milestone. I always just go all the way back and just look at my old videos, and it's like, wow, that's where I started. That's unbelievable. And I think it's always about making like those little changes along the way that really gets you to where you are now.
Yeah, it's funny because like getting into YouTube, nobody tells you certain things. Not that like there's people that like coach you on how to be on YouTube, because I think really like if you look at the true, like, if you look at the YouTubers, the people that are putting out videos every week, big or small channels, whatever.
Yeah.
Like those are the people that like they just started making videos, And like it's funny for me because I if I were to look at right now, like what I would consider to be an acceptable video. Yeah. And then I look at anything that I was doing up until even like a year ago, and it's funny to me because a year ago I thought I was like awesome at making videos, or I was like, well, I'm not great, but I'm pretty, and it's funny just because like now I look back on even that and I'm like, well, last year I sucked. What am I going to think of myself next year and the year after? It's funny, man. Cause like, I didn't know anything about cameras or like, I just kind of had to figure it out.
It's funny that you say that, because if I look at, like, for example, I went through your Instagram profile, I think yesterday or day before, and I feel like the quality of pictures you take is amazing. So I don't know if like the photography skills did you build up over a period of time? Did you learn from somewhere? Because I really admired that when I
Oh,
saw
thank
all
you.
those.
So, I mean, I've always known a little bit about like some of what I consider the important stuff. Like, I never knew much about the equipment. So,
Mhm,
my aunt Tanya, she's a photographer,
mhm,
and she was doing a photo shoot. Like, I lived in like the Bay Area at the time, so we were in San Francisco, and I went with her, kind of tagged along on this photo shoot. I was probably like 18. And it was really cool, like, you know, because it was a professional level thing. So there was like, you know, cars and lights and just, you know,
yeah.
a crew. And I learned a lot about like lighting, and I learned a lot about like positioning of objects. But I
Mhm,
never learned about like aperture. I never learned about, you know, about camera settings and what works and what doesn't. So for me, as long as I had something to take a picture, I was like, I'm going to just nail the lighting and the positioning and the editing, and then it won't matter. So I had an iPhone, and I just started shooting everything on portrait mode, and like every single thing, every deck of cards, like portrait, portrait, portrait. And then I would spend some time, you know, editing it on my
yeah.
phone on like whatever third party app I had. And I did that for years, like years. That was my shtick. And I even for a long time was like, you know what, like this is kind of like my thing. I could own this and be like the
Mhm.
guy who does everything on his phone. And then I got a DSLR. It's like I'm never using my phone again for anything. Yeah, so it's been funny, like through the years, like and I appreciate that you like my photography, because for me, like I think now that's just as important to me as like
Mhm,
the things I take pictures of. You know, like I care a lot now about like how the image looks, and like how carefully placed like the carousel is, if there's 5 images, like, you know, the
mhm,
order of them, the thumbnail. Like I really like, I think I learned that you have to pay attention to that stuff to be like successful online, and as a freelancer you have to have those details like really really locked in and like just automatic, you know.
mm. It's funny that you say that because I actually didn't know anything. I bought a DSLR camera when I started. Well, maybe not when I started. When I started, I was just filming everything on my iPhone. But maybe about a couple months into doing my YouTube channel, I bought a DSLR camera, and I honestly did not see a quality difference between my iPhone and the DSLR until I learned how to actually use the camera. Because I
Yeah,
found that it's absolutely useless if you don't know like the ISO settings, the aperture where you have to set that to, the lighting. I didn't know any of that until maybe about 2 years ago. So it is so much more than it seems. When you see other YouTubers online, oh, they have a nice camera, that's why their quality is good. But there's so many
yeah,
things that you have to see, and it's just you just don't know it until you actually do it yourself, or you have some knowledge of that.
yeah. And it's funny too, because like I don't know about you, but I wasn't interested in learning about any of that. Like I was always kind of like, I always kind of stayed away from learning that stuff because I just wasn't interested until
Hmm.
it became relevant to what I like
Exactly.
doing. And now
Exactly.
like I just upgraded my camera maybe like a month ago, and probably the most fun like shopping experience ever was just doing the research on lenses and cameras, and like all of a sudden now I know how to use a camera, you know. And I think it shows too, because you do all that research looking for like, you know, the best way to step up your game or get a better
Hmm.
image or a better video. And then like by the time you get the equipment, if you've done your research, you kind of already know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then like you just immediately you take it out of the box, and you're like, I'm gonna take a photo of everything. I'm gonna take a video of everything. Everything in slow motion, you know. And it's like it just becomes fun, you know. And
Exactly.
I think that's really interesting. I think that's a cool way of like nowadays you could turn anything that interests you into art because you can
Hmm.
make a video about it, and that's super. I mean, like that's so sick, you know.
Yeah, I never considered myself or anyone actually doing this an artist until I actually saw it from that kind of perspective. Because it was, for me, it was always like for you, for example, like the thumbnails that you take for your videos, I think are uh, and I feel like I'm saying this too much, but like your thumbnails are really good. Like I don't think I'd be able to make those thumbnails if I
Thanks,
spent like
dude.
hours on them. Like the I think the Pink Panther deck review that you did, the thumbnail for that looked really nice. I think the Snackers review that you did at the before that thumbnail for that also just absolutely nailed that. So those are skills I still want to pick up, by the way. But those I just have no clue how you do that. So I see that itself as kind of an art form.
Well,
So
thank you, man. Hit me up
it's
anytime.
really,
I'll walk you through it, dude. I'll give you some tutorials. Now
yes,
that we're friends, you have
that
no
would be
excuse.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so I feel like you already covered this a little bit, but what made you actually start a YouTube channel? Did you ever feel um like it was just a way to expose yourself, or get more exposure in public, or was it something that you wanted to do to express yourself? So what really got you to flip the switch and say, I want to start a YouTube channel?
So this is an answer that you probably hear anytime you ask somebody how they got into YouTube, but
Mm-hmm.
I had a YouTube channel before. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do card tricks. I didn't do anything on it actually. I had like maybe like a few little things. But my brother and I, we used to enjoy just filming stuff. Like I didn't enjoy filming stuff, but I enjoyed being filmed. I always have. I don't know why, but like I've always kind of been like, I don't know. I've just
Yeah.
always liked attention, I think. And so my brother would like document everything we would do. He was like the original vlogger, like Casey Neistat style, like back in the day. Um, he would just document everything we would do. And so I had a YouTube channel with like some of the highlights of things, like whatever. And so I kind of always saw YouTube the same way. Now for people like, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but you got to be older than what, 22, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm 26 now.
Okay, 26. So I'm 27. I know you can't believe it because I look old. I'm just tired. That's all. So anyway, so for us, like we saw YouTube become a thing. Like
Yeah.
that was like the original YouTube videos were like nothing. It was like not a. So I think I always saw YouTube as like just kind of this place where like, oh, you put it online. Like if you have a video, that's where you're supposed to put it.
Yes, pretty
If you
much.
want people to see it.
Yeah.
And I kind of just I always had this thing about like, and there's people that like to do things and they're like, that's just for me. I don't film it. I don't put anything out there. And I
Mm.
totally understand that. I have things like that for sure. But then there's also things that like, I just feel like if you want something, you have to ask for it. And for me, like
Mm.
all I wanted was like, just to be able to like share things that I love with people that I find interesting. And that's how the channel started. So I think I just did it as a way to like do something and dump the footage somewhere, like my original videos. I think I've archived most of them now. I hope. If not, I'll do it. But I think like if you look at my original videos, I wasn't talking about cards. I didn't know that much about cards. I was using like, I had like the rider backs. Of course I was using like black rider backs,
Yeah.
and then like maybe every once in a while I would like, throw like one of my special decks from when I was in high school out there, but I didn't want to do deck reviews. I just wanted to like do Magic and like talk Magic, not necessarily like show people my Magic, more or less just like be like, hey, I do some Magic. Who else does some Magic? It just didn't stay that way. So I don't know how it evolved into what it is now. Because if you ask around, I'm sure you yourself would consider my channel to be a deck review channel. And that's like for me, it's the ultimate letdown. I never wanted to be that. What ended up happening though was like, I fell in love with cards. I fell in love with design. I fell in love with like the art.
Yeah.
And then artistry, man, just blows my mind still. So I'm like, so I focus a lot on cards. Obviously, I start reviewing them. Then before you know it, once your videos get good, then you kind of have to keep doing what works. You keep reviewing, and then the agreement becomes companies are sending you the decks for free as long as you review them. So then you just keep doing deck reviews. So I don't know. I've been on like a 2-week hiatus from YouTube. Minus I did an unboxing, but I filmed that weeks ago. But I haven't filmed anything in like 2 weeks. I'm trying to figure out what direction I want to go in, because I feel like deck reviews, I want to keep doing them, but I want to do them like I just want them to be interesting. I don't want people to be able to like lip along to my videos because I say the same thing in every single one.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way as well, because I recently started doing deck reviews. I want to say maybe in August of 2020 is when I started doing deck reviews, because it really wasn't something that I found to be entertaining myself. Like I loved decks of cards. That's why I initially started collecting them. But deck reviews isn't something that I really wanted to do. But I feel like I wanted to build that kind of audience. So when I did any kind of artwork for, like, for example, the deck I recently released for pre-order, if I did any kind of artwork, people would automatically become interested in that as well. So that's kind of the reason why I started doing deck reviews. but it was also to share my thoughts on certain decks. But I don't know. I kind of feel that way as well. I feel like all my deck review videos have the same generic format, and I feel like people can actually lip along to exactly what I'm about to say.
Yep.
And that's what I find kind of difficult about deck reviews. I want some way to kind of make them more unique, I guess, make them more interesting, like you were saying. So I feel like that is kind of difficult thing to do. So even if when I upload deck review videos, they don't do nearly as well as yours. I think I cap out maybe around like 500 to 600 views for my deck reviews, but then my card tricks get around 2 to 3,000 views. So it's really, I don't know. I wasn't really sure exactly what I was doing with deck reviews, but I was doing them.
I'll tell you one thing, man. I mean, like every once in a while, I think they have a place. But the thing is, I think that deck reviews, like if you're a review channel straight up, like I think like what Magic Orthodoxy is doing, David, I mean, like he found a formula that he can sustain forever. And that's awesome because he gets to review all the tricks, you know?
Yeah.
Like before I buy a trick, for sure, I'll go to his channel and make sure he's reviewed it. But it, you know, same thing kind of with decks. And I think like, I don't know, like, for me anyway, my purchasing decision for playing cards does not rely on reviews. Like, you know, if it's a camera, if it's a big ticket item, but if it's if it's the new Svengali deck, you know, I'm not gonna go watch a review. I'm just gonna be like, do I like it or not like it? You know, I know Alex, I know the quality, I know so it's all good. That's one thing that I've also learned this year. So I think, and maybe you can agree with this, like when you start, like, I don't know, I guess when you start overwhelming yourself with what you have, you start reverting back to the same 3 decks anyway, and they're almost never the ones that you thought they would be, you know. Like for me, like I've been working for Alex for like the past year, and I was using Nox like all the time. That was like, you know, obviously. And now, like, you know, I mean, there's every once in a while I'll get like nice like care packages from these companies, you know, I'll get like the Gemini decks or whatever, and those are nice, but I always find myself reverting back to like the yellow knock originals, Tally-Ho circle backs, red, and then the slow hands tortoise backs. Like those 3 decks are like the only ones that I ever really use. And it's funny because I have favorites that are not those, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can 100% relate to that because I think I just use a couple of decks myself. One, the Nox are, I think, hands down one of my favorite deck series.
Yeah, they're great.
And that's because for me personally, I just love minimalistic type designs, and especially for doing card magic. If you have cards that are, you know, over the top or flashy, people are always asking, "Are those magic cards?" And that's one of the weirdest things.
I've gotten that question enough times to where, like, you know, you almost get used to saying the same response. Where like, what does that, like, my response to that is almost always, what would that mean? Like, what would that mean? What does it mean? You know, but I get why people ask, because, you know, you have these muggles that have never seen, you know, they've never seen the I'm looking around for an example, like Luke Wadey. If you pull out a Luke Wadey deck in front of a spectator, dude, their face will explode. I know this for a fact, for sure, because, you know, his designs are nuts, but they're not, you know, unless. Do you know Luke? Have you talked to Luke? You should get him on.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't, but I've seen a lot of his designs.
Man, he's like one of the best designers. I love his work. I was just gonna like drop a plug, but you should get him on the show for sure.
Yeah, definitely will do. Let me just write this down. I always keep my notebook. I always keep my notebook nearby because during any kind of interview that I do, I always get like helpful hints or notes that I can take and just run with.
I mean, I should be learning from you, man. My channel is not caught up to yours, you know.
I mean, I appreciate that, but it's honestly, I think for me, I'm not sure exactly how many videos you upload, you know, on a weekly and monthly basis, but for me, I upload like 3 videos every single week. So that does get kind of overwhelming at times. So I feel like it's kind of the consistency in the weekly uploading that has caused me to, you know, get to where I am now.
Yeah, you're probably right. I did the 3 videos a week thing for about a year, 2 years, I think I did it. I used to do Saturday was like a deck review. Sunday would be like either a tutorial or something random, and then Wednesday was way back Wednesday, where I'd review an old deck like from back in the day. And I couldn't sustain that for very long, man. I think I made it 23 episodes of way back Wednesday, and then was like, I can't. I could probably do it now, but I don't want to. It's just more deck reviews, man. It's just more reviews.
Yeah, I feel that way. So, and that's really why I started branching out my channel a bit more, because it's difficult, because mostly my main focus was card tricks. So initially I did 2 videos a week. One was a card trick along with the tutorial, and the other was I think I did like Wednesday, Saturday, or something like that. And Saturday was, I don't know actually. It was just whatever I kind of felt like doing. That's
Yeah.
what Saturdays always were for me. But now I have Magic Mondays where I do not deck review. Sorry, I do card tricks. I have Thursdays, which is kind of a little bit of a wild card. I either do a deck review on a Thursday or something like this on a Thursday. And I recently started doing like skits on my channel. So just like comedy sketches, because
Like the magic school stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Oh,
And
I'm subscribed, dude. I subscribe to your channel for sure.
awesome. So that was one of my, like, before I started this YouTube channel, I did the same thing you did. I had another YouTube channel where I did comedy sketches, and I was told my comedy was not great, but I have a bigger audience now, so maybe more people get me. Maybe that's just what it was. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I mean, now's the time to bring them back, dude. Sketch comedy is my favorite comedy.
yeah, I absolutely loved it. From like watching like college humor sketches, that's kind of how I grew up in like high school, a little bit of college. I saw so many of those, and that kind of inspired me to start off doing that.
That would be a really sick way for you and I to collab, or like for
Yeah,
like multiple people to collab. Because everybody hits you up and they're always like, "You want to collab?" And then you're
yeah.
like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "I don't know." Do you have ideas? And I'm like, no. But dude, that would be a cool way, is if we did if we did a sketch together. Wait till
Yeah,
COVID's over, dude. Maybe we can make it happen. Where are you located, by the way? Are you in like NY or
I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey? Nice, dude. Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, the
What?
last sketch I did, I kind of did with one of my patrons. So it wasn't, of course it wasn't in person, but
Yeah.
I think we still got, some good back and forth that we had going when we were discussing and just talking it out. But I think that was fun as well. But I think in person would actually be so much better. I wouldn't be talking to just the wall or the camera.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. I'm down to do, if you ever want to collab on this, I'm definitely down to do it remote. But for sure, we're gonna have to do it in person at some point, because stuff like that, dude, is like when you see YouTube collabs, you
Yeah.
kind of want it to be a weird video that you wouldn't
Hmm.
normally see from that
Hmm.
person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do
Exactly.
a lot of comedy. I do some. I did some sketches like in my early videos. When I hit 500 subscribers, I did one that I thought was like really funny.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, yeah, I think stuff like that is fun, and I've been wanting to introduce like things to my channel that make it more about me and less about the cards.
Hmm.
That's been kind of like my big focus lately, is trying to figure out like I feel like I don't have that much of a relationship with my audience sometimes,
Hmm.
because I'm hiding behind like the
Yeah.
design of a deck, and I'm kind of just. But I want to get more into like, I don't know, into doing fun stuff, and comedy is like, you know, it's
Yeah. Comedy's
universally
definitely up there.
acceptable.
And actually, that's one of the reasons why I started my Patreon, was because it was hard. I felt like it was very difficult for me to communicate with my subscribers and actually get them to know who I am as a person. And that's really where my focus shifted as well. I didn't want to be, I didn't want people to see a card trick and be, oh, if someone ever recognized me in public, which never happened, by the way. But if anyone were to ever do it, like, oh, you're the guy that does the card trick thing, I'd rather have them know who I am versus what I've done on YouTube.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
and
sure.
that's exactly why I started the Patreon, because I feel like I could get to know people a lot better on like a one-on-one level. And that was really my whole goal with it, because it was like I was telling you, when I started my Instagram was like pretty recently, and when I started engaging more recently. But so it was really all about, having that community, which I didn't realize in the beginning, but then you realize it's actually quite important as your channel goes bigger and you want people to know you versus, what you have.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, dude, exactly. And I think it's funny because everybody goes through this, I'm sure.
Mhm.
I think collectors, like I still don't consider myself a collector. And like I have a warehouse in my office, of decks.
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging, because I don't think it's that cool. Like I made this whole video before my vacation, and I never uploaded it. I still have it, but I made this whole video talking about like being overwhelmed by choice, like having too many decks or like too many options. And the thing is, like, you start to feel like you can't really get that creative when you have everything you need. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm lucky. I realize, like, you know, like I'm definitely not complaining, but like I'm very lucky to have, like, I do this kind of thing for a living. So this stuff is, you know, it's easily accessible to me. But when you say like, this is what I need, and you have everything you need, you can't think of anything. You're like, well, I don't feel very creative. So I guess I'm just gonna hold the deck and aim it at the grass, you know? And then and so I don't know. So I made this whole video about wanting to like find something useful to do with a lot of this stuff, but then at the same time, like the reason I didn't put that video up is because if I put a video up that says giveaway, I have to be mentally prepared for what's going to happen. I don't know if you've seen any video where I say I'm doing a giveaway, the comments are
they flood in.
Then my Instagram, dude, and that's where it all happens. Is like I get like 70, you know, whatever requests on Instagram for people that are like, hey, I'm trying to win your giveaway, you know. I thought it might give me some extra points if I tell you that, if I DM you and tell you that I love your videos, you know. And by the way, when I'm picking the winner at random, that doesn't help at all. But when I'm picking the winner off their comment, it always helps. So keep sending them. But anyway, so I don't want to give them away like that. Like, I don't want to make it a contest. I want to pick somebody and like give them a bunch of cards and be like, you know what, you need them. I don't. Enjoy them. So I want to find the best way to do that, and for the right reason. I don't know what that reason is yet. But until then, dude, I don't remember why I brought this up, but just too many cards. You know, I'll definitely be reviewing yours, by the way.
Awesome.
Yes,
would mean a lot.
Anything I buy, I'm reviewing for sure. So
awesome. I'll make sure to throw in some extra stuff.
I'll make sure I review it then. I'll tell people it's awesome. I'm just kidding. I'll be honest, but the deck looks awesome. That's why I bought it.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, I spent quite a lot of time on that deck. I started the actual design. I don't know how much you actually know about it, but I started conceptualizing the design for the deck back in, I want to say late 2019 or early 2020. And it wasn't until November of 2020 where I actually like started like, you know, going all out. So I work a full-time job, so like 8 to 5 every day. So after 5 o'clock, I spent like 4 or 5 hours daily on what the deck meant to me, the symbols that I chose in the deck, the actual design work, and trying to put that all together, because I had, you know, never done anything like this. I have zero skills when it comes to like using Photoshop or Illustrator or any of that. And I had zero design skills, zero artistic talent. So it was really just spending a lot of time trying to figure out the software and just try to position things like, oh, does this look good? Does that look good? So a lot of time was just spent on that. And then I think I finished everything up by December, the end, like mid-December. And that's just when the USPCC was closing. So I just submitted all my designs right then. And then I think they got back to me mid-January saying there were some issues with the artwork, and clearly I didn't know anything. So I had to rework a couple of things, and I submitted my final designs, I think end of January. And yeah, that's when I released the pre-order. And I think I contacted the USPCC just 2 weeks ago, and they told me that the cards will be printing last week, and they should be ready to ship them out, I think, next week on the 22nd. So I'm just really, really excited about that. I don't know. I'm sure you've had the same feeling when releasing your first deck. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. How did you feel when releasing your first deck? I wanted to know how that process was for you.
You are like the king of segues, by the way. You are so good at this. It's awesome, dude. Well, first of all, yeah, I can relate for sure. My first deck, it depends on how you think of it. I had a failed project that got like halfway done and then scrapped in production, which sucked. And never came out. And that was a project that I was doing, I think before I was ready. And that was probably why. So my first official project, or what I consider to be my first deck, is Slow Hands V1. Because it was my first like commercial deck, you know?
Mhm.
And I honestly, man, like compared to now, and I got to be careful what I say because we're working on some new stuff, you know. But Slow Hands V1 to me was like when it funded on Kickstarter, like 'cause until then I was just excited that I was trying it, you know, and I had Nick, one of my favorite designers and a good friend, and I felt very comfortable and kind of safe. And then when we launched, I was like, whoa, dude, like what if people don't like it? What if we don't make money, dude? Like what are we gonna do? But we funded, and when we funded, the feeling I got was kind of like it was like how I imagine like winning a talent show is, you know, like it's kind of like this feeling of like you feel like you're probably more happy than anybody else is happy for you, but it means so much anyway, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that was kind of like how I felt for the first one. And then the second one, we did things a little bit different. We didn't do a Kickstarter. Actually, we funded with House of Playing Cards, my job with Alex Pandrea. And that was a different thing because the cards got printed way faster, you know, like we didn't have to wait for the campaign to get funded. Like it was just kind of like things were moving. And that I was more proud of that deck. I think just like, you know, aesthetically, it's my favorite design for sure. For Slow Hands yet, but the process was different. And I felt a little bit less proud of that one, I think, just because I was a little bit less like hands-on. You know what I mean? I kind of me and Nick created it, and then we just kind of sent it all off to get done for us, you know?
You're saying for the V2, you're saying?
For the V2.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then I don't know. So that feeling was a little bit different. I think the V1 had a more special feeling, but then Generation 1, my latest one, that's actually been released. That's definitely been my most successful deck. And so that one came with its own thing. And that was the first deck I did with Luke. Who, like I said, is a really, really good friend of mine. But you know, that one was cool. It made a little bit more money. So as a result, like that was the first time where I felt like, well, I could do this. I could put out decks, you know, like it helped me, I think, upgrade my studio a little bit. I bought I upgraded my camera, I did some stuff. And all those things, like that contributes to how excited you are about the release of a deck. But the one thing that I have to say is there's really nothing like the first time, you know, like, and wait until you get all of your own cards shipped to you. And you're like, these are my, you know, you got free cards, dude. Like that's all of us ever wanted is free cards, you know?
Yeah. I can't tell you how excited I am to get that ship. And I'm going to be recording like every second of it, every reaction I have.
Oh, dude, you'll be so glad you did. Make sure you document it for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think for me, comparing it to what you had done, I definitely should have gone the Kickstarter route versus the pre-order route, and the reason for that is the reason I went pre-order first of all was because what really inspired me to kind of really start going with my playing cards were when Chandler and Grant released the Rise playing cards.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, they had a pre-order and they sold out of 5,000 decks. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, if they could do 5,000, I'm sure I could do like 1,000, right? That shouldn't be too difficult. And then I released a poll on my YouTube channel asking, you know, if I were to release a deck, how many decks would you buy? It came out to like 1,200 or something. So I'm like, okay, this could be pretty good. This all looks very promising. And then by the time I actually went ahead and made it, and I think I released that poll 5 months before the actual pre-orders of the deck. And by the time I released the pre-order of the deck, it was like I sold 100, and that was it. So that honestly, that feeling kind of sucked, but it was also a really good learning experience. I feel like I got a lot out of the entire process, and I really learned a lot from how to actually go about creating the deck, how to actually work with the USPCC, and how to actually get more people involved in the process. And you know what? When I reached out to you the first time, I asked you the same thing. How, you know, I forgot exactly what I asked you, but it was more like, how can I expose my deck more? How could I sell more decks or something like that? And yeah, I think engaging with the community is definitely key, because I reached out to, I think maybe 10, 15 people, and a lot of them said, yeah, they 100% be willing to work out or help me out and, either review the deck, take some photo shoots, help promote it. So it's really great the feedback that you get from the community, and it's great to see that we're in a community where people are so eager to help each other out with things. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that I got from it.
Yeah, and because I agree. Coming from a Kickstarter, the thing is like that's 30 days where as soon as they become a backer, let's say they back on day one of your
Yeah.
Kickstarter, for that next month, like they're in it with you. You know what I mean? Like they want it to fund as much as you do. And that's the other thing you can't get from a pre-order is the campaign of like when you build out a nice Kickstarter campaign, the campaign is like almost its own thing that's separate from the deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people go and they're like, wow, look at this thing. I can't wait to read the Kickstarter, watch the video, look at these add-ons. You know, it's like a pop-up store from your favorite playing card designer, you know? And you get these things like Daniel Schneider, Black Roses, he does like great Kickstarter. Luke Wadey does great Kickstarter campaigns. Nick Nisko obviously does like, you know, amazing Kickstarter campaigns. And those are the reasons that these guys like, I think even though like Black Roses, Luke Wadey, you know, these people, they could probably self-print their own decks. They could fund it themselves.
Yeah.
But then they lose like that community, you know, they lose like that support from everybody that's like, let's make it happen. Or, okay, you know, because it's a Kickstarter, I'm going to buy this limited edition t-shirt that I can only get off the Kickstarter. And then you make it fun, you know, and it's just like way more of a thing. So I prefer Kickstarter. I think for Slow Hands 3, we're definitely going to be going back to Kickstarter. So that way we can have a little bit more fun with our add-ons.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think for me, the reason I didn't go Kickstarter was I felt like it was a lot more work because like you mentioned, it's something kind of by itself in addition to the deck. So it's not like it's just a deck and it's there to support the deck. It's kind of a thing on its own. And I honestly had no clue how to actually go about that. That's also the reason why I took the pre-order route, because I felt like it was much easier. And I also wasn't super familiar with Kickstarter, wasn't really engaged with the community at the time. So I just thought, you know, this would be a lot easier to do. And looking back on it now, the next time I release a deck of cards will definitely be through Kickstarter. And I'm really just looking forward to, I guess, doing all that and engaging a lot more with the community. That's the main thing I got from everything. Community is key.
Yeah, man. And it's so sick. Like I'm a pretty shy person and I don't make friends like super easy, you know? But like in our world, like I love it. I can't get enough. I want all the friends, you know what I mean? Like I love when people just randomly are like, hey, can I get some advice on this? Or like, hey, I'm working on a deck. Can I send it, you know, can I send you some design and you can tell me if you like it? And I like it because like it's the one thing that if I had to do for free, that's the one thing I would do. You know what I mean? Like, and it's nice because like luckily it does pay the bills. It supports me to be able to do that stuff. But at the same time, like I genuinely thoroughly enjoy like the process of meeting the community and like I love the newbies. The people are like, hey, I just found this channel, or like the people are like, I'm new into Magic, and I'm like, oh, you are gonna have so much fun here, you know? I love it. It's like, you know, it's so important to have that. And with the world lately being as dark as it is, you know, that's affecting everybody and that's affecting the community. The community's getting dark too sometimes. You know, there's people out there that hate decks that turn into like little mean girl pods and whatever. But outside of that, dude, it's really just this like, it's just we're nerds. You know what I mean? And nerds always find a way to have the most fun. So I think that like, I think it's sick and it's really good to get on the community slate, you know, and just kind of meet people, because that's where most of us came from anyway, you know.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because when I was a complete introvert, by the way. I don't know if you could tell. It may not come across on camera, but I'm a complete introvert. Like I don't like talking to people randomly out of nowhere. So it was weird for me to actually become part of a community and start talking to people, because that's something I was never actually comfortable with. But it's great to see how accepting everyone is, how, you know, they don't really care about anything except like the passion you guys share together. So I think also YouTube was also a great way to break out of your shell. So if anyone's very introverted, it kind of helps to have a YouTube channel, because you're just talking to a camera.
Yeah.
And although it's weird the first time, I remember the first time in my first video, I was just whispering into the mic because I'm like, I don't want anyone else to hear me. This is weird. But you know, you initially kind of just get over that, and I think it's really like a very freeing type feeling because you can just share whatever you want. Obviously, not whatever you want, then you may get some hate, but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, it's a really really great feeling.
It is, man. I think what I took for granted about YouTube that I recently learned I need to start appreciating more too is like it honestly like it's like you have the power to make your own TV show, you know, and so many
Hmm.
people think of their lives as like, you know, like, oh, if this was a movie, this is my life, you know, and I think it really puts things in perspective for people that maybe like, you know, struggle with finding something where like, I don't know, where they feel like maybe people in their life like aren't listening to them or they
Hmm.
don't have a voice or they feel, you know, like whatever. And something that like I valued a lot is I recently, you know, like I said, I'm taking a vacation from
Yeah.
creative work. And you know, part of that is a mental thing, you know, and you just have to every once in a while you have to know when you're at your limit. And I hit my limit pretty hard. But it forced me to kind of think about it and go, man, like I've been lucky that nowadays, if I need to get something off my chest, I can just
Mhm.
flip on my camera and like
Yeah.
get it off my chest. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think for a lot of people, like that's something that maybe they don't think about as much. They think of it more as like,
Hmm.
oh, I got to talk to my audience, but like really, you're just talking and you're letting it all out, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Did you ever think of creating like a rant type video about
Oh yeah,
anything?
yep, yep.
Did did you ever plan on actually putting it out?
Yeah, no, putting it out. Well, sort of. I did film a rant video,
Mm,
my first one, and I mean, I've always wanted to do one ever since like things started pissing me off, you know.
yeah.
But like, I found a topic that was really worth ranting about
Mm,
after the release of Slow Hands V1,
mhm.
and I filmed this really good, really solid rant video. Um, and then as soon as I was done, like, you know, filming it, editing it, whatever, I
Yeah.
was like, this is going to be the best video that I am never releasing ever. And just, I don't know if I might still have it on my hard drive. I might not, but I filmed it on my phone. So it wasn't like a
Yeah.
quality video, but it was funny for sure. But here's the thing about rant videos. They're, they're good for you.
Mhm.
And usually they're bad for like your audience because people are
Yeah.
like, well, actually, I don't know. But it divides people, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the topic. If I wanted to rant about like, yes, there's such thing as too many playing cards, and no, I don't think that you know, no, I don't think that it's worth it, you know. Then you're gonna get those people that are like, well, it's because you have so many and you suck because you're just this fat guy who gets free stuff from everybody, and that's all people say. But then you'll have those people that are like, I feel you, man. Minimalism is way better for creativity or like whatever, you know. And then you'll get that one guy that
Yep.
goes, will you do a giveaway? So I don't know, man. I rant a lot anyway. Like in my videos, I edit out a lot of my rants, you know,
Mhm.
but it's easy for me because like there's so many topics that I find like are interesting enough to like
Mhm.
you should get two people to debate on it, you know. But then you can't do that because then it separates everybody and then there's no
Yeah.
peace, no respect for anyone, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I try to avoid it if I can, but yes, I could do a good rant, I think.
Yeah. I always consider doing that myself, but it's exactly what you said. I don't want to create a divide in the community. I feel like that would hurt the community overall. It would hurt the YouTube channel, and I just don't feel like it would give off a good feeling. So I've always wanted to do it, but never thought it was an actual good idea to do it.
I think we're all just lucky that we have people like Pig Cake who can do it
Yeah.
so we don't have to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Exactly.
I love that channel. I'll go to that channel if I need to like to laugh. That's like, you know, that's like the go-to for sure.
Oh
Definitely
yeah.
super funny. And I've never talked to him, so, you know, I don't know
Yeah.
for sure if he's, you know, but I love
Yeah. I
his channel.
tried. I tried reaching out to him one time, but this is when I had like I think like 700 or 600 subscribers. So he didn't get back to me then. Maybe I'll try reaching out again. I'd love to have him
I
on
mean, like I
here.
talked to him about Magic one time, but I don't know if it
Yeah.
counted as like an interaction. It was like a like I sent him a video of a pass and was like, yo, I'm gonna teach this, but does it look okay? Like I'm gonna teach this on my YouTube channel. I was trying to find a subtle way to tell him that I had a YouTube channel because I thought it would be
Yeah.
cool, you know. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about teaching this pass on the channel, so let me know. And he was like, yeah, it's a really good pass, man. Is it from Expert? And I was like, yes, it's my favorite book. And then I never heard from him again. Um, but it was, you know, I don't know. But I still find his channel to be hilarious, you know.
Mm.
He's very dangerous, very dangerous, very
Yep.
risque. Cake.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If I brought him on to do an interview, I don't think I'd be able to turn on monetization. Like it would
Probably not.
it would not be clean. It'll be very entertaining. I know I would definitely be entertained. I know a lot of the audience would be entertained, but that's generally not the content I
Yeah.
have on here.
Yeah, same thing, dude. Like my channel's pretty PG, you know. I try to keep it kid friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's also something that I love. So like
Mhm.
with people like Pig Cake, like I would consider like even some of the, you know, I mean like the comedy, the jokes, the whatever, a lot of that, like you have to wonder like how much of that is like the, you know, the real person and how much of that is like the Pig Cake, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
vibe or whatever. And one thing that I like is that he lives that though. Like he
Yeah.
never like he lives that dynamic so that you
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
know what's real and what's not. And like that to me is like that's a comedian. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yep.
that so much.
Like
But
it's
same thing goes for
100%.
like these other channels, like there's channels that are the exact opposite, like very wholesome channel, like Rise, you know,
Mhm.
super
Yeah.
wholesome channel, amazing content. Oh, so good, just so good. And I think that's funny as well because that's just the spectrum of magic YouTube. You know,
Mhm.
like you have like Grant and Chandler, sweet boy next door magicians, you know, that are, you know, just kick-ass filmmakers.
Yeah.
And then you have like Pig Cake, who's like a, you know, like a drunk comedian at an open mic. And somehow there's like people like us in the middle that get to like draw inspiration from both sides,
Yeah.
you know. I love that because I think it makes the inspiration is like so blended and so mixed, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's
Yep.
sick.
Absolutely love that. And now I just want to wrap up. I want to ask you one more question about anything that you have upcoming. I'd love to hear about any upcoming projects or any secrets that you want to share.
Okay. All right. I got to be careful here.
Yeah.
Um, as of right now, I believe this has been made public. Let me just check. If so, this will be the first place that you're hearing it, that anybody's hearing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'd
Okay.
be super honored.
So, new project in the works. You can go check out my Instagram for the teaser. Kier Gomes, Nick Nisco, Jay Sankey. We are working on a project together.
Wow.
It's going to be very, very fun. If you know Jay Sankey,
Yeah.
amazing magician, he's created so many original effects. And the three of us are going to work on something, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I can tell you, it is going to be a spectacle. It's going to
Do
be
we?
dope.
Can we get a hint on what the something is?
I gave you two of them just now. What? It's going to be a spectacle. So make sure you watch carefully. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe if you had glasses, you'd see it better. I'm not sure.
I picked up on that a little bit now.
Yeah. So there we go. Well, there's that. I can't say much more, but check out the teaser. Here's the other thing. Slow Hands 3. Be on the lookout for that. We're doing it. We're working on it already. I'm so stoked. And then the last thing, if I can drop the plug.
Yeah.
Generation 1 with Luke Wadey, my deck. It is fulfilled on Kickstarter. It's funded. It's whatever on Kickstarter. Fulfillment is going to start, and we are going to have stuff for sale. So for those of you that love my vibe, my aesthetic, or the color pink, hit me up. So I think that's all my plugs.
Awesome. Fantastic. More of a purple man myself.
Yes, I noticed. I can tell by your deck and then your lights. I like it.
Thanks so much. Well, Keir, it was absolutely fantastic. Pleasure having you on. And for everyone watching, make sure to go check out Keir. I'll put the link to his YouTube channel, Instagram, everything down in the description. This guy is just absolutely phenomenal. And I'll see you all next time here at the card table.
Peace out.
Huge shout out to Kier Gomes for being on with us today. And as I mentioned, I'll put the links to all his social media, YouTube, everything down in the description. 100% go ahead, make sure and check it out. And if you want some more cool bonus footage, I'll put the link to that down there as well. And that's all we got. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you here next time at the card table.